This book is a part of the Heartland Audio Library. Today we will be reading How Full is Your Bucket? The author is Tom Rath and Mary Reckmeyer. The illustrator is Maury J. Manning, and the reader is me, Breanna Westenbroek. How full is your bucket? I see a picture of a bucket with some drops going in there, and it's filling it up. Felix was putting one of the last blocks on his tower when his little sister came in. "I want to build with you," she said. Felix scowled. "Go away. You're too little." "I'm big. Stay back. You'll knock it over." Is that nice? No. "I can be very careful," she says. "Go play with your baby toys, Anna." Is that being kind? No. What does she look like right here? She looks mad. She looks like she has hurt feelings the way that he was talking to her. And then she goes, thwack. Looks like she kicks over his whole tower that he's been working on. So now he's yelling, "Grandpa!" Grandpa shook his head. "Felix, you just dipped from your sister's bucket." Like everyone else, Anna has an invisible bucket. When it's empty, she feels bad. But when it's full, she feels great. Didn't you ever notice your own bucket? Invisible bucket? Sometimes Felix couldn't quite tell when his grandfather was joking. But the next morning, when Felix woke up, there it was, a small gray bucket floating above his head. When Felix came down to have breakfast, his mom was in a hurry. "I've got a meeting this morning and it's almost time to go. Anna, sit still." Felix slipped and choco wheat scattered across the floor. "Felix," yelled his mom, "you should have used the stool to reach that." Felix could feel his bucket tip and big invisible drips spill out. Drip, drip. "Ha ha," Anna laughed as she crunched the cereal with her shoe. Drip. "Get the broom and clean that up before you miss the bus," scolded Mom. With the school bus honking, Felix quickly swept up the choco wheats and grabbed the last blueberry muffin. But before he could even take one bite, Buster jumped up and grabbed the muffin from his hand. Drip. Now I see he's on the school bus and another person says, "Hey, look at Felix's new backpack. My baby brother has one just like it." Drip. So if you see in the picture, you see his bucket is tipping out and a little bit is dripping out in here, a little bit is dripping out here. He's not having a good day, so his bucket is getting emptier. Then he's right here talking to all of his friends, or all these friends are talking about him. It looks like they say, "Psst, Felix, psst." They're all talking about him and his bucket drips out. Right here, another big guy says, "Watch out, shrimp," and knocks him over with his books, and out of his bucket comes a drip. So Felix's bucket is getting emptier and emptier all morning because people are being unkind to him. It was still morning and Felix's bucket felt almost empty. See his face right here? Looks sad and mad. Can you make a sad or mad face? And I see right here that the bucket is almost empty. As he watched his classmates walk into the room, he secretly hoped they would trip and fall. That's what it feels like when you have an empty bucket. So it looks like he has an empty bucket we can see, and he's thinking unkind thoughts because his bucket is almost empty. Felix slumped into his seat and waited for something else bad to happen. Mrs. Bumblenickel walked slowly up to his desk and handed him a paper. He could hardly bear to look. And then she's talking. She says, Felix, you wrote a wonderful story. Would you please share it with the class? Felix grinned and felt a big drop land right in his bucket. Drop. So in the picture here, you see that it's getting filled up a little bit. She said something kind to him, and that's filling up his bucket. So he's reading right here in front of his class and says, The Gigantosaurus Who Wanted a Pet by me, Felix. The class grew quiet. They laughed at all the right places and oohed at the scary parts. When Felix finally read the end, everyone clapped, even Emily, who sat next to him and didn't usually like dinosaurs. Felix felt a whole shower of drops land in his bucket. Maybe the day wouldn't be so bad after all. So you see in the bucket right here, all the drops coming into his bucket. It says plink, drop, plop, drop. It's getting fuller and fuller because everybody's being so encouraging to him. Right here, he's opening up his lunch and there's a nice note from his mom. It says, love you, Mom. And we see a big drop because his bucket is getting a little bit fuller. Right here, he's at PE with his classmates and the teacher says, team captains today are Veronica and Felix. So we see his bucket's getting a little bit fuller. Drop. Right here, he's in art class and the teacher says, nice cow. He says, it's a dog. And then the teacher says, well, nice colors there, Felix. And it's getting a little bit fuller because his teacher is saying something encouraging to him. Right here, I see a girl says to him, cool laser ant backpack, Felix. His bucket is getting fuller and fuller. By afternoon, Felix's bucket was nearly full. At recess, when he looked around, Felix suddenly realized that his grandpa was right. Everyone else had a bucket too. So Felix is looking around at all the different people's buckets, seeing how full they are or how empty they are. One of these teachers dropped a bunch of papers and his bucket is kind of empty. So Felix says, let me help you. And Felix gets a drop in his bucket and the teacher got a drop in his bucket. They both got a drop in their bucket a little bit fuller when Felix helped him. Then right here, Felix says, here's your baseball, catch. And then these guys say, thanks, dude. And they all go drop, drop, drop. So everybody's bucket got fuller when Felix did something nice for him. Then I see on a bench, Felix says, hi, I'm Felix, first day. And this guy says, yes, I'm Amir. And they both go drop, drop. They're both getting a fuller bucket. I noticed Amir's bucket was pretty empty. So that's good that Felix is filling it a little bit. Now right here, the strange thing was that for every drop he helped put in someone else's bucket, he felt another drop in his own bucket. So every time he's doing something kind for somebody else, his bucket's getting fuller. When Felix burst in the door after school, he shouted, you were right, Grandpa. I do have a bucket and I understand how it works. Then he saw Anna's torn doll. Bad dog, he almost scolded. But then he thought, dogs might have invisible buckets too. Your dog will be okay, Anna, said Felix. Mom will fix her. See, Anna's crying. She says, the bucket's pretty empty. Until then, do you want to help me build the tallest building in the world with my blocks? Felix invited her. And they did. See, now he's being kind to her and including her, and her bucket's getting really full, and so is his bucket. So now we're going to take a look at some of the discussion questions for you to answer with your family. Question number 1. What are different ways that your bucket gets empty? Question number 2. What are different ways that your bucket gets filled? Question number 3. What are some ways you can fill someone else's bucket? Question number 4. Choose someone whose bucket you would like to fill this week. Think about ways you can fill their bucket. Now, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week filling other people's buckets, and I hope that it fills your bucket while you're at it. Have a great week.